Hey, welcome back to my channel, Endless Pages. I'm Liv, and are we surprised it's another book haul? I'm actually now kind of getting concerned about my book spending. Like, I know I say this every video, but this time it's like genuinely like, what the hell have I done? But I mean, it makes good content. I've got 18 books to tell you guys about today. Oh my god. First up, I got The Midnight Girls by Alicia Jasinska. This is a young adult fantasy written by an Australian author who you might recognise from writing The Dark Tide, which is another book I have not read. This is apparently sapphic. It is about this world where there's witches and these two are enchantresses and they are competing to win the prince's heart, but they end up potentially maybe falling for each other instead. That's all I know about this book. That's all I want to know. There's a bigger blurb on Goodreads, but I don't really want to read that. The cover is like stunning. And this sounds really good. It hasn't, I don't think I've heard anything bad about this book. I've heard really good stuff, and I know that Alicia Jasinska is a really popular author, and if I can find another Australian author that I love, that'd be an added bonus. So now I've got 2 of her books to check out. The next book I got is a manga. I'm continuing to buy all the popular mangas and slowly build up a collection. So this is Tokyo Ghoul by Sue Ishida. Please tell me if I'm pronouncing that wrong. I've watched a little bit of the anime and liked it and then stopped. I don't know why I stopped watching it, but it's good, so I can go into this relatively blindly. It's about this boy called Ken, and Ken is really excited to go on this date with this beautiful woman. And it turns out she only kind of wants to pretty much eat him. So he gets turned into this half human, half ghoul, I think. Yeah, and then he kind of gets dragged into the whole world of ghouls and the kind of the enemies and all of the inner workings and stuff like that. Yeah, like turf wars, and he's got to learn to survive and control his powers. So I know this is a really, really popular one, and I'm excited to get into the manga because I know it's a little bit more dark and adulty. So yeah. So this next book I'd never heard of before, like ever, and I saw it sitting in the Dimmicks like top 100 because they had a 3 for 2 deal on that. And I read the blurb and I was like, wow, this sounds amazing. This is Before You Knew My Name by Jacqueline Bublitz. Has anyone read this? Like, let me know. It sounds so good. So we have 2 women. We have Alice, and Alice is 18. And she's just moved to New York City with nothing but $600 and a stolen camera. And then she ends up getting murdered, and she's then the city's latest Jane Doe because no one can identify her. Then we also have another character. Ruby has moved halfway across the world to start over, but she's finding herself lonelier than ever. And then she comes across Alice's body near the Hudson River. And then Ruby is trying as much as she can, trying to forget that, you know, horrible morning where she found the body, but she finds that she can't let it go and feels this bond towards Alice and feels like she can't let it go until she gives her, how do they say it, like, yeah, the ending that she deserves. They say this book is not a whodunit though. They say instead this powerful, hopeful novel asks, who was she and what did she leave behind? The answers might surprise you. So it's apparently weaving feminism, philosophy, romance, politics, and domestic abuse into a story narrated by an unidentified murder victim. So this is like saying it's not focusing on the killer for once, but focusing on the victim and who she was as a person, which sounds really, really beautiful. And I'm like so excited to get into this. Ever since I read it, like read the blurb, I mean, I haven't been able to stop thinking about it. So that's this one. Next up, I got The Girl in the Tower, the second book in the Winter Night trilogy by Catherine R. Dern, the first being The Bear and the Nightingale. I read that last month. It was beautiful. I had to have my hands on the sequel as soon as I could get it. Just basically, the first book is set in Russia, based off Russian folklore about this girl whose servant would tell them all these magical stories of magic and spirits when she was younger. But the youngest daughter of this family, Vasya, knew that these stories were more than just stories. She saw the kind of spirits that guarded her family's home and sensed the growing darkness of magic in the forest. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful book. I'm so excited to see what happens to the characters in this book, and the ending was such a hopeful, happy, open-ended ending, so I'm really excited to see where she takes it in this book, and I just hope the writing is as beautiful as the first book. Next up we have Clara and the Sun by Kazu Izuguro. I know I butchered that. I'm very, very sorry. I don't know really what this book is about. I think it's about like an artificial yeah, Clara is an artificial friend, and she's always wanted to be chosen by a human, and she is told that her circumstances may change forever. She's warned not to invest too much time in the promise of humans. It looks at our rapidly changing world through the eyes of an unforgettable narrator to explore fundamental questions. What does it mean to love? So this like sounds like it's going to be like a really like philosophical, like make you think, societal commentary kind of book that I really don't know, but I'm intrigued and I know people love this book, so I'm going to give it a go. Next up we have The Agathas. This is by Kathleen Glasgow and Liz Lawson. This is a YA thriller. I really hope I love this one. I hope it focuses more on the thriller and not too much of high school drama element, because I'm not interested in that. But this is basically about a bunch of girls that go, well, a girl that goes missing. So we have our main character Alice, who dates like this basketball star at their school called Steve, and she got dumped by him last summer and she disappeared for like 6 days. No one knows where she went or what happened. It was kind of the talk of the town until Steve's new girlfriend called Brooke, I think her name's Brooke, yeah, Brooke, vanishes, and it doesn't look like she's going to come back. We also have Alice's tutor called Iris. I can never remember any of the names. And Iris has her own reasons for wanting to disappear. And Brooke's parents are offering a massive reward for any information on what's happened to their daughter. The police are really convinced that Steve is the culprit, but our main character Alice is not so sure. So Alice has exactly what they need to crack the case. The complete works of Agatha Christie. If there's anyone who can teach the girls how to solve a mystery, it's the master herself. So I think it's them reading other Agatha Christie books and using the inspiration to try and solve the case of what's happened to Brooke. So it sounds really fun and I'm really excited that I have my hands on it. Next up, I got the TV edition of Heartstopper by Alice Osman. Oh my god! You've probably seen in my videos, I already have every copy of Heartstopper, but this is the first time in my whole life that I have ever wanted a TV or a movie edition of a book. Because I usually hate TV editions. I hate them, I despise them, I think they're ugly as hell. But this one is adorable. The fact that they recreated, wait, let me get the other one. The fact that they recreated the cover and like put that on the back, I think that's cute as hell. How could I not buy this? It has little snippets from the TV script as well. So I'm so happy I got this. There was a massive delay in Australia for them, so I love it. It's beautiful. It's so good. Next up, I got The League of Gentlemen Witches by India Holton. I just love this cover. It's so pretty. I think it's cute. This sounds like a really cute read. It's about a girl called Charlotte and she is a witch and she belongs to this, what do they call themselves? Like a league of witches that use their powers to improve the world as they see fit in little tiny little ways, and then she as the leader of this league is sent on this kind of task to find this long lost amulet, and she's kind of forced to join teams with this pirate called Alex, and yeah, I think it's about them joining forces to find the amulet and maybe a little romance along the way too. This sounds fun and cute and I hope I get all my want of fun witchy romance filled. So next up, I got my hands on a copy of the first volume of Blue Exorcist. This is by Kazu Kaito. I know my pronunciation not on point today. So this purchase is inspired by Gem from Bookish Gems, the queen of manga. So this is one of her favorite series and this sounds, to be honest, right up my alley. So our main character he's never known his real father and he was raised by an exorcist, and then him and his adoptive father, I guess you'd say, have an argument one day and he finds out that the blood of Satan runs in him, and he kind of pledges to defeat Satan, but to do so he's going to have to train to be an exorcist himself, and he goes to this academy called the True Cross Academy, and yes, that's basically what that's about. This sounds right up my alley and I'm like on a manga binge at the moment. I'm loving manga, so perfect. Next, Electra by Jennifer Saint. Look how gorgeous this copy is. It doesn't match at all with my other Jennifer Saint books size wise, but I don't care. It's really pretty. I'm kind of salty about this because I bought it and paid a lot of money for this paperback, way more than you should pay for a paperback in a bookstore, and then went into Big W and it was so much cheaper. I didn't realize a book, like a new release like this would be in Big W. It's so like, so crazy. Big W has the like most random stuff and then all of these new releases. But anyway, side note, I'm still salty about it. Anyway, this book is a Greek mythology retelling. I'm gonna have to blurb read. I know I've been doing that this whole video. I'm sorry. I'm tired, alright? So, this is about the house of Arturus, which is cursed. A bloodline which has been tainted by a generational cycle of violence and vengeance. So this is a story of 3 women, their fates tied to the curse and the fickle nature of men and gods. The first woman, oh my god, how do I pronounce this? Clytemnestra. I'm not saying that again. She's the sister of Helen and a wife of Agamemnon. Oh my god, the Greek mythology names, man. Agamemnon. Her hopes of averting the curse are dashed when her sister is taken to Troy by the feckless Paris. Her husband raises a great army against them and determines to win whatever the costs. Then we have Cassandra, princess of Troy, cursed by Apollo to see the future but never to be believed when she speaks of it. She will be powerless in her knowledge that the city will fall. Then we have Electra, the youngest daughter of Clementra and Agamemnon. Electra is horrified by the bloodletting of her kin, but can she escape the curse, or is her own destiny bound by violence? So I love Greek mythology, especially when there is a feminist spin or a focus on females from Greek mythology, so I hope this is a good read. Then I got my hands on The Atlas 6 by Olivia Blake. I believe this is the revised edition. Oh my gosh, I cannot stop seeing this book everywhere at the moment. I'm sick of not having read it. I've got FOMO, so I finally got my hands on a copy. This is basically this kind of magical competition every decade that takes place, and if you win, you get to join this Alexandrian society, and the custodians kind of guard the knowledge of ancient civilizations and enjoy their power. So that's the plot, and then you get to know kind of all the 6 contestants as they compete to get into this society. And apparently there's this is really like great character focused book, and I do love me a character focused book. So yeah, I'm sick of seeing all the fan art and not knowing who is who, so I'm finally gonna read it. Next up, I got Before the Coffee Gets Cold. So I got this book because of hype, because of hype. It's everywhere at the moment. Oh my gosh, all over TikTok, all over BookTok, all over Instagram, absolutely everywhere. So this is a fantasy book, and it's about this little cafe that's in Tokyo, and there's something special about the cafe, and that is that you can have the ability to travel back in time. So we follow 4 main characters. So one wants to confront the lover who left them, one wants to receive a letter from their husband whose memory has begun to fade, one who wants to see their sister one last time, and the 4th one wants to meet the daughter they never got the chance to know. But the journey into the past does not come without risk. Customers must sit in a particular seat, they cannot leave the cafe, and finally they must return to the present before the coffee gets cold. So this sounds like it's going to be really like heartfelt and beautiful, and story of love and people and relationships. It sounds like it's going to make me like bawl my eyes out, but it sounds absolutely beautiful, and I hope the hype is correct about this book. Then I got Hamlet by Maggie O'Farrell. So I'm really unsure if I'd like this or not. The writing though, I feel like the writing's going to be fantastic because it won the Women's Prize for Fiction, and I know that's a very well respected prize. I know, I feel like Madeline Miller has won some of those. Anyway, so I think, tell me if I'm wrong, this is like roughly based off Shakespeare's actual son Hamlet that died. And that's why he started writing tragedies, was because his son died. Tell me if that's wrong. Am I making that up? I feel like I heard that somewhere or read that somewhere. So this is set in 1596. And one day Hamlet's twin sister takes to her bed with a sudden fever, and her parents aren't there. Her mum is away in the garden where she grows medicine, and her father is working in London. Neither parent knows that Hamlet won't survive the week. Oh, so I was right. It's a novel inspired by the son of a famous playwright, Shakespeare, a boy whose life has been all but forgotten, but whose name was given once to the most celebrated plays ever written. Yeah. So it sounds like, it sounds good. I just feel like maybe this is one where I'm gonna have to like audiobook it and read along. Anyway, that's beside the point. Also, look at the cover. Pretty. Next up is My Heart is a Chainsaw by Stephen Graham Jones. I know this is a very, very popular book. I've seen quite a lot of people talk about it recently. We follow our main character Jade. She's an outcast. She has an absent mother, an abusive father. She's half Indian, and no one in the community wants anything really to do with her. And she kind of has this encyclopedic knowledge of horror films, and she's really close to dropping out of school, but she's pouring her heart and soul into this assignment, a personal history of horror films. And then in this rural town she lives in, it's beginning to really gentrify, and there's blood beginning to spill in their town, and with the arrival of the final girl, Letha, she's convinced an irreversible sequence of events have been set into motion. She dives deep into the history of her hometown, the missing tourist, the drowned church in the Indian lake, the tragic deaths at the camp years ago. The town strives to keep her trapped. But outcasts still laugh and fight and cry and love fiercely. Even as the terror descends and the blood flows, they never ever give up. So this is apparently a homage to slasher films. So this sounds really interesting and quite unique. Not something I would normally read, so I'm excited. So I got The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss, the first book in the Kingkiller Chronicles. So I know this is like kind of high epic fantasy, and it's kind of an own voice told from our main character, his story of growing up, and he grows up to be one of the world's most notorious wizards. So yeah, I'd rather, I guess, not spoil the series myself and go in with an open mind and not knowing what this is about. Apparently it's very action-packed, so I'm excited but a little bit nervous to start an epic fantasy because this is a chunker, and adult fantasy always really intimidates me, but we'll see how I go with this one. Next up, I got the first volume of Jujutsu Kaisen. Again, adding to my manga collection. This is one that I have never seen any of the anime, so I'm going in completely blind, which I like. Can't spoil anything for myself. So this is a story about a boy called Yugi, and he is really, really strong. He's wanted by like every sports club in his school, but he rather joins the occult research club, kind of the club for the outcasts, and they find a cursed object and they don't really know the terror that they're going to unleash when they kind of break the seal of the object. So yeah, so this next book is inspired by Gems from Bookish Gems. She talked about this on her channel. Gem, just like she is the queen of manga, is the queen of horror. And I never read horror. I don't watch horror because I'm too scared to. But I thought I would try out reading horror because it's a genre I kind of want to get into. And I'm so excited. So she talked about this book on her channel, Chasing the Boogeyman by Richard Chismar, and she was reading the blurb. I was like, this sounds really interesting and creepy. So I want to give it a try. This is set in 1988, and a bunch of bodies of mutilated girls are found, and of course it causes the town to freak out, and some people start this rumor that the killer is not 100% human, something else going on. The FBI is convinced it is a serial killer, a madman that's taunting them. We follow a recent university graduate, Richard. He returns to town just as this is going on, and a curfew has just been enacted. So he starts to write a personal account of kind of the events that are going on in this reign of terror, and little does he know that this account will haunt him for a very long time. So this sounds absolutely horrifying, and I will not be reading this book at night. I will not be reading this book when I'm home alone, but I'm still excited to give horror a go. So we've made it to the final book, thank gosh. That is A Far Wilder Magic by Alison Saft. This is a romance, so cute. But there's also other elements, a hunt element. So we follow Maggie, who lives in this town called Wickdon, and one day she spots this thing called the Hella, which is this fox, and she knows that soon the Half Moon Hunt will begin, and that's this hunt where whoever catches the Hella, this fox, will win great fame and fortune. And she is the best sharpshooter in town, but she knows she needs an alchemist to win. And then we get introduced to our romantic interest, whose name is Wes. Wes has been fired from every apprenticeship he's had. This is his last chance. So they make an unlikely team, a charismatic but troubled boy, a girl who has enjoyed a life in a town that never welcomed her. They're drawn together as they uncover dark magic that could be the key to winning the hunt if they survive that long. So this sounds fun and cute at the same time. Okay, that is all 18 books that I purchased recently. Let me know in the comments, have you read any of these books? Which ones should I read first? What books have you purchased recently? Have you also spent all of your money? Please let me know. Thank you so much for watching this video. As always, all my social media links are in the description below. Subscribe so you can see whenever I post a new video, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!